Hello, everyone. My name is Katie Stewart, and I will be presenting Environment or Genetics Preventing Bovine Calf Rejection. So, a little bit about myself and my interests. I am a senior in agricultural business management and animal industry at SUNY Cobleskill. I am from a small town called Potterville, Pennsylvania. I live on a 50 cow, 50 calf purebred Angus farm. It's the reason I'm doing this presentation is to explain why calving is so important to producers. So every calving season, we have 2 calving seasons, and we always have fun doing that type of work on the farm, always seeing new life come onto the farm. So starting this presentation, I had a few research questions that I wanted to start with. So I asked, why do cows reject their calves in the first place? Does stress always affect bonding when a calf is born? And how does the environment of the cow during her calving season affect her? So, what happens during calving with the cow? And the normal gestation period, just like us, is 9 months. About 12 to 24 hours before labor, a cow will separate herself from the herd. During normal labor, a cow will produce a hormone called oxytocin. Once the live calf is born, the cow will lick and vocalize to her calf. This is a natural instinct that we always see. Well, we always hope to see. So starting with the reason why hormones are so important, especially with oxytocin, it's important because it's what causes bonding. So it is a peptide hormone produced by the corpus luteum, which is found in the pituitary gland of the brain. So it is in the center of the brain. It causes the animal to have uterine contractions during calving. She also uses this for milk letdown and for other maternal behaviors like nursing and licking the calf when she is born. Oxytocin is also, as stated before, the reason why mammals bond with their offspring in the first place. Because it is a foundation during parturition, which is calving, and bonding, we see that this is a very important aspect to this presentation. So, why do cows reject their calves in the first place? Oftentimes, there are 3 main reasons why a cow will reject her calf. The first one is lack of experience. We see the lack of experience mostly from cows that have their first and second calves. So, particularly if you have a
2-year-old
old who's first time having a calf, she's not sure what exactly is going on. There's a traumatic event that happens. So, traumatic events can happen with any cow. It could be C-sections. There's no natural hormone ejection, and she ends up not having those hormones to bond, and she will oftentimes reject her calf. And stress during calving. So if, say, a farmer comes in and starts making noise, she's going to be stressed, and there's a likelihood that she's not going to produce that oxytocin, and it's going to end up causing her to not bond with the calf. So for this presentation, we are using a study. So the study that I chose studies the scientific view of why cattle reject their calves. So this study is mostly put on environmental. So I had a question when I first started this presentation. So I wanted to know what environments happen during calving. And as you can see, this is the study that I used. So the methods for this study are to use older literature. So a lot of times we, as producers, do not focus on the type why maternal behaviors happen. We just want to focus on calf production and fast growth. So for the older literature, they found that there were feral cattle, so almost particularly wild. They were not in any sort of human contact except for this study. They found a correlation between feral cattle and dairy cattle behaviors. The other methods were used as field studies, studies that showed different species of animals that react to postpartum periods. These animals were sheep and deer species. The results of this presentation were that these behaviors were often seen as said before isolation seeking. So cattle will often separate themselves from the herd, and you will often see them not being with their herd mates. They'll usually go off into the woods or off to a corner in the barn. So this diagram shows what successful postpartum should look like. So they will, again, as the diagram says, they will search for an appropriate birthplace. They'll avoid or attempt to avoid disturbances. And after she is calved, we hope to have a suckling behavior from the calf, which provides protection and bonding. This was also found in animals like sheep and deer. Wild animals do hide their young. This has also been seen multiple times with cervids such as deer. If disturbed, she's going to reject her calf usually. So if they're disturbed during bonding, the results varied. Some were mostly the same with different species. Wild animals, so deer, displayed isolation-seeking behavior. Cattle, on the other hand, did not show preferences to specific birth sites, so the cow wasn't picky, and she would find a place to have a calf that was suitable, but she did not go into detail of looking for the calf. We also found that smells produce bonding due to olfaction, and that's just the smell of birth fluids, so that triggers the oxytocin relief. So the study conclusions that there should be an emphasis on how natural behaviors affect animals. So this is very important for cattle and other animals that are prey animals. So another question is, how do we prevent rejection? Remember the 3 stress factors: the lack of experience, a traumatic calving, and stress during calving. And always, always provide a safe place for the cow to calve. So for summary, cattle are prey animals, and it is important to remember that. Remember the 3 stress factors of when calving. Summary continued. Oxytocin is a very important hormone, and we need to remember that to let her bond with her calf. Bonding is important for her to have success later on in the cow's life. So my recommendations are very simple. I have 3. So you should always provide safe housing, so you can separate the cows that are about to calve from the bulls, because bulls can be really nasty towards cows, and she will get stressed when she is first having her calf. Cull cows that do not fit your program. This is one of the most important ones. If you have a cow that you don't like how she's handling her calf, she's being very aggressive towards you, or not providing the right amount of milk, or she's just right out rejecting your calf as it was born, that's when you should call your cows. And always remember to you should always let the cow lick off her calf. This is how they bond. This is one of the most important parts of bonding. And that's my end. So here are my references. And if you have any questions, you can always email me and let me know. All right. Thank you.